All right, while we're waiting, hi, Eric.
Hey,
Um,
how's it going?
Good. I'm gonna mute myself for a little bit while people start joining in. I gotta uh, talk to
Hi,
some people online.
Okay,
how are you, Eric?
doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Okay. I'm having headaches a bit, but I'm trying to ignore them.
Well, hope you feel better.
I think it's like all the bad news is really getting to me too. Like Ariel said, sometimes it's just too much. It's like just been so much bad stuff. The Philando verdict, and I saw that dash cam, I don't know, and this Russia crap, and it's hard to sort of keep I don't know, not get bogged down in it, like want to keep fighting it and not just throw your hands up. You know what I mean, Broken?
Uh, I probably, yeah. Um,
It's okay.
I just got done chasing one of my dogs all around. I don't know where the fuck it went in the backyard. I
Oh,
ran around that backyard about 17 times, walked around the neighborhood, still couldn't find her. Come walking back into the backyard, and there she is, standing there, looking at me. So I don't know. She's going out on a short rope, though, from now on. She's going to hate me for a little while, but
oh,
Tough
It's
love.
it's my daughter's dog. And of course my wife said, she doesn't need a tag. She doesn't need a tag. I said, well, all the dogs need to have a tag so that we can. Oh no, she doesn't need one. She's the only dog disappears. The fat one and the black one don't disappear. The little dipshit, she disappears. So
see, I feel about dogs like a lot of people do about kids. I love animals. I really, truly do. I love puppies, doggies, but I do not want to deal with one on my own.
oh, I gotta have one. If I don't have a dog, I'm lost, man. I
I've thought
mean,
about it, but I just can't, like, with my injuries, I can barely keep up with keeping my house clean as it is. I can't imagine adding dog fur to it. I'm just like, no. They're
oh
so
well.
cute, but I can't do it.
Down in the basement where we live with fur. We
Oh,
don't.
okay.
I mean, it's just a given.
Yeah, you just
Um,
have to say,
you
oh,
know,
well.
I mean, it's like if I eat food and I'm not eating a little bit of fur, I'm feeling like there's something. I'm counting dogs at that point.
I know my daughter's constantly begging me for a puppy again.
There,
The other thing
there,
is,
there she is.
oh,
That's the criminal. That's the runaway.
she's adorable.
yeah, she is. She's a
But
cutie.
the other thing, I used to joke about it, when we were much poorer, that until they have Medicaid for dogs, I won't do it because the vet bills, too. We had a cat that ended up, we had to put it down. It was terrible. And the vet bills were just crazy, and we could barely afford the human bills. So at that time,
I dig it. I dig it. And it was like, well, my last dog, oh, she was, uh, she was a little miniature schnauzer, and I got her right after I started with this pain thing, and she was like my nurse. The nice thing about dogs is I wake up, if I'm awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody else in the house, she'll talk to me.
no,
I can say, so. And so now I got Fat Job back here, and he's a little bit more.
Dude, dogs
He,
are
he, I
great.
like I say, I could.
A while, but
is that
I put my dog that I loved to death to sleep, and the next day I went to the pound and bought this or got this one. I mean, it was I just when I say I can't live without a dog, I mean I can't go. I mean because
no,
like
no period of mourning. No period.
I of course I was freaking shattered. Have you ever watched that show? What is it? Will what the hell is it with the like guy in a dog suit that walks around with them?
Oh, I've heard of it, but
Ah, shit.
Wilfred.
Wilfred, that's it. So I watched this whole show, and right at the end of the show, Wilfred like loses a leg to cancer. My dog at the same period loses her paw to cancer, and that was right before we had to put her down. But it was. Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh my God, I can't even finish this show because it's bumming me the fuck out, I mean, I laughed all the way through the show, and I get to the end, and I went, oh, fuck.
Oh.
Okay, order in the court. I need a
Okay,
gravel.
yes.
Let's focus on current events and topics. We could go with all this other stuff and anything goes. Because I like to talk about the measurement of time when we go to anything goes.
What would you like to answer? What would you like to talk about, Ivan?
In anything goes, time.
Oh, cool.
The measurement of time. Anyways.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick though, can I just say something? I wanted to spit this out, man. Like, I think that for like, I remembered my like kind of original idea for like, or where I was kind of thinking about having like some space like this for people to talk, like outside of Google Talk and stuff. I just thought like it would be super entertaining if there was a website that you could go to for this kind of a situation, like maybe up to 10 or 12 people, and then like, but I thought it would be really great if there was actually access to like 6 different rooms that it was all happening at the same time, so that like you could actually see ratings and stuff. So like if people are doing like anybody else can just participate like on this like I guess unique website and just like go there and like when the more people you kind of like have like little screens of all the other like panels, and then like you can see how many people are watching each screen at a given time, and like so different things like that, likes I guess, or some kind of measurement, and then kind of just go back and forth to different discussions, and then like, oh, this is interesting. So that was just kind of an original idea. Then maybe like Tim or something like coordinating, like just
Get on that, Avon.
original ideas.
All these ideas are out there or planned already. It's just getting them done. So we'll talk about that another time. All right. So who wants to hit the first thing for current events? What's going on out there that you guys want to talk about?
Shoot.
We could continue the Russia stuff, but maybe there's been enough of that.
Russia? Oh, there's never enough Russia news.
Oh, Russia.
Okay.
In here again like that.
I'm not sure what's going on exactly with the confusion about that. I was under the impression, or my understanding was that Bernie and Rand Paul were the two that didn't vote for the sanctions against Russia. And then, so there was some kind of error there.
You mean the removal of sanctions?
I think Jamal was talking about what?
The removal of sanctions against Russia?
Yeah, that Bernie and Rand Paul were the only two that voted against the sanctions. But I think that somehow it was misreported. Jamal mentioned that Debbie may have gotten it wrong. I'm not really sure what happened, but I saw it on the Real News Network, the Max Blumenthal guy that I've recently started paying attention to, and there was a C-SPAN thing of it. So I think Bernie did stand. He voted against it.
He voted against it.
Right.
He voted against it because of the Iran sanctions. And because they put those sanctions on the same day as Iran had a terrorist attack in Tehran.
So I'll have to go dig that up on C-SPAN or something. Did Bernie clarify?
I believe he did on the floor or somewhere. He said something about it.
All right.
Well, that's where I'm like, I don't know if I can head this draft Bernie for a People's Party. I have a problem with that. I don't want to hear him talking about Russia that way. That's where I have issues differing with him a little bit. It's on foreign policy stuff.
I was involved. I signed up for the draft Bernie, and they contacted me, and I was going to get involved, but then I started hearing him talk about Russia like this, and I just couldn't do it. That's perpetuating war, and that's sending my people over there to fight and die, and I can't do it.
I know. I hate to tell this guy. I don't know. I'm still on the fence, but I just can't. I don't think that it's going to get support. either.
Yeah.
Like Jamal said about Joy Reid, maybe she just doesn't believe it. But I think if you actually are being just disingenuous and know that the Russia thing's probably trumped up, then I think at that point you're a scoundrel. And I think the whole reason that the Russia thing is a big issue is because got to provide cover, got to suppress the content of all the controversy that wasn't allowed on the screens. And basically, like, I think that's the only distinction.
Can you make sure that there's no more screaming until you keep talking?
There's the only distinction between liberals and and us on further left is that the liberals are very unwilling to say anything negative, cast Hillary in a negative light, or the journalism or the deeds or anything that went down in a negative light, and so they're just never going to back down from that. It's very stubbornly just going to hold on to that, and that's Russia goes along with that. So,
Well, this is my answer today. So I'm finally filling out my application for Canadian, my certificate of Canadian citizenship, because I actually have it automatically because I'm first generation born outside of Canada. My mother's Canadian. She's been in the U.S. since she was 3, but so it's just a matter of paperwork, but I've never gotten around to it. And this was all I could think of to do today to make me feel better. So yeah, my grandfather actually flew in the Royal Canadian Air Force. I'm not proud to say, but he shot down German planes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the 90s, he actually received a letter from the son or grandson of one of the downed German pilots, and it was like this letter saying he forgave him. It was really weird. But my grandfather was not a man of a lot of words. I don't think he knew how to take it. So I think my grandmother answered him. But anyway, yeah, he shot down, I think it was 7.
Wow.
So it's weird to think of that. Like, he was young. He was 19 or 20.
Back to Russia, the sanctions, the voting, Congress. Okay, so it's the Senate Amendment 232 to S.722, and you guys can look at it in the live chat. So the vote was actually 97 yeas, 2 nays, and 1 not voting. The nays were from Rand Paul and also from Mike Lee. Rand Paul from Kentucky and Mike Lee from Utah.
Now, is she watching the C-SPAN coverage of this?
No, I'm going directly to the Congress.gov and the Senate.gov.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
everything
About the Russia stuff, I didn't see the NATO, the stuff yesterday that I posted it on yesterday's, but so we can talk about that also, the NATO, the history of all that stuff I was talking about yesterday with Russia, those 2 articles.
Okay. I didn't really get a chance to read over them. Because every time I do, I always keep going back and back and back because there's always all the history involved related to it.
No, I understand. It's about NATO and why this is all kind of happening.
And here's the thing that I hate about whenever there's any coverage about any type of votes from mainstream media, they never ever link you to the Congress.gov or Senate.gov so you can actually see the results, the actual writing, everything. They like to dump things down for everyone, put in their own narrative, and then that's that. But
middleman.
Yeah. What's great is when you actually go to Congress.gov and Senate.gov, and sometimes you can even have snippets. So when they're actually on the floor talking about it, you can see videos about it, about their vote when they cast it and things like that. So it's a lot of searching for it because it's not well organized, but it's there. And C-SPAN, I believe, covers a lot of these things too. So it's dry and boring stuff. But I mean, if it's something like, was it 97 yeses to 2 nays and 1 not voting, at least you might be able to see just a snippet of why they're saying nay. But yeah, Bernie Sanders is for the sanctions against Russia.
Okay, but he voted against it because it was packaged with the sanctions against Iran. Is that
Well, that I'd have to like really dig through because if they had another vote on it, I don't see it. So let's see, Iran, I don't see it.
that's
Iran,
where
I
the
don't see it.
confusion is because on the 19th,
The 19th, you said?
so it's Max Blumenthal on Real News Network, and they covered it. And he talks about how Bernie and Rand Paul were the only two that voted against.
That doesn't sound right. From the Senate vote, it looks like it was Mike Lee and Rand Paul, not Bernie Sanders.
Okay. Well, either that was an error or maybe it changed. I don't know. There's quite a bit of confusion on this issue, and I just asked Jamarl about it.
Just
He
go.
said he's in the middle of making a retraction now.
Yeah, go to the links that I just sent you. That goes directly to the floor vote.
Okay.
Anyways, I like to tell people go directly to Congress.gov and Senate.gov to look at everything. Don't rely on journalists all the time. Always look at the source, and the source has to be somewhere where it's documented and. Uh, I guess they vet. Do they have editors that work for the government for anything that's posted on their websites? I would think they would.
I suppose they have somebody that reads them and stuff. I know that C-SPAN is another good spot you can go, and they usually have other links to the House and Senate.gov, White House.gov. You can go from there directly to a lot of those. So.
Okay, I don't know if this is accurate, so I agree with you, Avon, just to get it directly from that. But we need to see if we can pull up C-SPAN and see him actually talking about it on the floor, because someone else reported that that was a staffer that wrote that.
Either you misheard it or like the Real News has issues with its being real.
They made it. Yeah, they may have made an error, but I thought it
But
was.
then
On C-SPAN
they'd have to
also.
make. See, that's the problem. Is then the Senate floor vote was an error too, so it's a clerical error because they don't. That vote that's recorded on there isn't
No,
from
I
the staffer.
understand.
So it doesn't matter what he says. It's based on the vote. So he could lie as much as he wants, saying, "Yeah, I'm against the Russian sanctions." But if he voted yes, then he voted yes.
Right. Very disappointing.
So it's kind of. Well, I guess it shouldn't be that unexpected.
What? I can't hear you, Elias.
No, I was just thinking that, it's disappointing, but it's not necessarily unexpected.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
To be honest.
Yeah, I'm not at all baffled or bewildered by that at all.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I am kind of pleased that he was willing to bar the sanctions for an even more ridiculous, due to the presence of an even more ridiculous and asinine list of sanctions on another country for which we have no business in meddling with, aside from tilting our own egos.
Well, there was an issue a few years back with the Crimea, and then didn't they get kicked out of the G7 then, right? And then also sanctions. Ukraine, and the rest of the other issues with Ukraine.
Were they ever part of the G7? I understood Russia was a part of the G7, but.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were kicked out of the Russia was kicked out of the G7. I thought that was a major.
So it seems that the point of the matter is pretty factual. That Sanders, and this goes right in line with what Debbie, the same progressive, always says, is you just can't trust the guys. You can't fully count on him. And like I said before, I'm talking about Bernie. Is that I went out there and I picketed and I walked and knocked on doors and got chased off of driveways by crazy Republicans. But and I'm a big guy, so they were nuts. So the thing I love the fact that he's been around. He's stood up for minorities, and he's done so many great things. But when it comes down to go time, when his actions, it seems like if they go in a direction that I can't trust.
Yeah, he's a little erratic. I agree, James.
I don't think it's necessarily erratic. It doesn't come across to me as erratic. To me, it comes across in approaching it from the logical ends of his occupation. And to be honest, and also as an extension of the era that he
Give me a second. Eric, can you mute whatever background noise might be going on? Okay. It looks good now. Alright, sorry, go ahead, Eos.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't see Bernie's behavior, because at the end of the day, Bernie, compared to the rest of his peers, is a diamond in the rough. But we also have to understand that just because comparatively he is a diamond compared to everybody else around him, that he's not completely spotless either. And it's important for us to understand, when we have a disagreement with people we either view as our leaders or choose to represent us, that there's a good chance that we're not going to align on every issue. And this is and unfortunately Bernie's on one that happens to be a sore spot for a lot of us. So now the question is how do we respond to it? And how do we and if we choose to pressure him, how do we best apply that pressure to get him to do the right thing? Or if we can't, how do we get somebody else who can?
Jenny in the chat is saying that Bernie makes concessions with Dems to keep his position, unfortunately, and that I think is partly true, and I think it's also what Tim was saying about how, Bernie doesn't want to be completely shut out of, kind of the mainstream conversation, and so, yeah, unfortunately, in the game, in the grand game that he's playing, sometimes those concessions will get made, and that doesn't mean I'm going to walk lockstep behind him when he does things I don't agree with. I think that's just to be a responsible person, a responsible voter.
Hold on. I can't hear. Did someone just join? Oh, Bram, you got some feedback.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Ariel.
It's okay. Yeah, I was just saying that, that's my whole thing. And, I made the funny bird story about Bernie about, if somebody does something you don't like, it's, just be careful not to be too knee jerk about the outcome, because we don't really know everything all the time. But at the same time, yeah, to be a conscientious and a person of integrity, you do want to hold people up and hold them accountable when they are doing things that aren't right or aren't fair. It's responsible to do so, but at the same time, I try to keep a balance and say, well, I don't know the entire story. Nobody really does. I mean, we can do a lot of good research and we can get a good feeling of it, but sometimes I'm definitely willing with people, maybe I give Bernie a little bit more patience than some, just because of his age, his record, and he's incredibly beloved where he, in Vermont. I mean, people freaking love him. I mean, this is a guy that will literally drive people across the Canadian border to get them the medications they need. I think overall he's a decent soul, but he is playing in a very, very dirty pool. It's hard to play in a dirty pool and come out smelling like flowers. You know, I mean, the political pool is full of feces and urine and all sorts of nasty crap, and it's hard to swim in that pond and not get dirty. It really is. So that's what makes me wonder if just the whole thing is so corrupt. It's just got to be cleansed entirely before any real change.
Okay, so
I
going
think-
back to the Russia, so originally there was a Senate 722. It's called Countering Iran's Destabilizing Activities Act of 2017. That vote was 98-2, and the two that voted against it was Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul. Now then later they had a amendment to that S.722, and that's when everyone voted yes except for Rand Paul and Mike Lee.
Okay. Now it makes sense.
So I'm sorry, that's a lot of digging to do. Thanks.
Well, it's unclear in many places how that all happened. So yeah, it's understandable why the mix-up there.
I think politically, the Russia thing for Bernie is that I think there's enough scuttlebutt in D.C. about what really is in Trump's taxes or whatever, like real information that they can't verify for sure, but they're pretty positive about it. And I think the dude just has shady business dealings. So if you don't go along with the anti-Russia program, you're going to look like, you'd look foolish in the end when it comes out Trump's all involved with dirty dealing in Russia that has nothing to do with throwing an election or hacking us or any of that. It has to do with his usual. The Russians were like the only place in the world that he could go to find money.
Oh, sure. But let's talk about Uranium One too, if we're going to go there.
I think that but the thing was, he burned every creditor in the Western world. So he had to go to Russia to find some oligarchs to borrow money from. And, I'm sure he's running that into the ground too. And, that's kind of I'm of the opinion that screwing over Russians is not a good idea. Even if you're the president, I don't think it's a good idea.
Right.
No, it's very dangerous. I think.
Grudges long distance.
Go ahead.
No, I was just making the quip. Because Russians carry their grudges long distance.
So I wonder in the mainstream media I'm sure they jumped all over the fact that Bernie early on didn't vote for the sanctions apparently, and then there was this amendment. But I'm wondering how this is being covered. If anybody is watching CNN or whatever, are they even talking about it?
It's not big news. I think we're the only people that are talking about it.
Yeah, and we have to go. We have to go digging.
Yeah, I mean the information's out there. Evan's all over it. What's creative? Evan, by the way, had something earlier, and I know we're on Russia, but I was watching his Hard Bastard, and who was that guy that was going after Tim Black? It was Tim Black and who's the other guy?
Sam Cedar.
Oh my
God.
It's a sham cedar.
Sham cedar. I watched a little bit of that. I gotta tell you right now, it's so. And Evan made a good point. I think Pac-Man and a lot of these sham cedar, and I think they're trying to become the next Chris Hayes. They're trying to become the next. I think they know the truth. I think they will, but they can't. I think they. In the back of their minds are like, wow, I could really have a good life if I made, $2-3 million a year.
Wrong with that. I mean, I think Mike Figueroa is a bit like that, and Benjamin Dixon, but I still have respect, especially for Mike.
I don't think Macafigurito of Humanist Reports can be like that. The possibility is much less, I think, with him than it is for Benjamin Dixon. I think, like I said in the thing, it's even if they are trying to, they're doing the wrong approach, because right now they're doing the mainstream media narrative and not talking about certain subjects, and they're not going to be paid millions of dollars to keep doing that. They're doing it for free basically right now. So if they want to become the next Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, what have you, they got to start talking about stuff they don't want being talked about. And then they're going to get paid millions of dollars to say, hey, come on, MSNBC is being anchor. We'll pay you $1.5 million a year to start your own 1 hour show. And then they'll tell them they sign a contract and you can't talk about these subjects because they're their advertisers and sponsors and whatever. And so then they go, who's going to turn down $2 million a year salary? You can talk about anything else you want, you just can't talk about your sponsors.
Right. And I mean, Tim talked about that. He said, a lot of these people in journalism or in, any kind of writing, I mean, it's a struggle of a job, right? I mean, you generally don't get paid a lot. It's hard to get jobs doing it. I mean, I write an astrology column every month and I don't get paid much, and so they've been doing that, probably digging. And then suddenly if they've got that big money flashed in front of them, they're like, oh, maybe. Of course, I think Sam Cedar, needs to get triggered a little bit more. If he did that, maybe he'd actually have a real expression once in a while. Somewhat human.
I don't think they're that different. I think all the mainstream people doing journalism at some point, they're covering information. I still think it'd be great if we were all sort of on the same team. And if I know I get hate for that, but I just think that if we could make some kind of truce or like reconciliation thing, and it came from our own initiative, then we could sort of define that and control that a little bit, so that like okay, we won't talk about Hillary anymore, we won't talk about the election anymore, but wink, wink, and it's kind of implied that there is a thing they're not talking about. So then just get over it. It's because it'd be better to do it on our terms now or soon or in the next year, over the next year and a half, than to wait 3 months before the election or 6 months before the election in 2020 and be like, oh, okay, we all have to go over the Democrats and beat Trump. I mean, like, so. And I mean, if all media was working together, like all everywhere, like from the San Diego, the TYT, and even the freaking Rachel Maddows or something. But like, if we could be in accord on the basics, and then we can just agree to disagree on that, that would be a tremendous like power, and like it would be amazing, and that's what we should do. Like, be mature enough to do, really.
Yeah.
But they're not willing to give us any concessions right now, as we've seen. Just like haha, it's like I'm gonna get my take out my something on you, and just not give you nothing. So
the thing is, I mean, the big corporate money has pulled the teeth of true journalism long ago. This is not something really new. I think it's just that we're becoming more and more aware of it. But you go back and read anything from Hunter S. Thompson when he covered different election campaigns, and you'll see that. I mean, they hated that guy because he was not, bent one way or the other. And he would report, the dirt on Democrats, Republicans, anything they were doing. And so they got to realize that they were to keep them away from us because, they didn't want anyone around that would do that kind of thing. Read Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail of, it was the George McGovern, Nixon campaign. That's a crazy, amazing book.
The veil's like sort of pulled, like away from our eyes, and like we got like some disenchantment with
So there's a double-edged sword when you get up in the ranks and you get your big show on MSNBC or some of these establishment two-party oligarchy type news outlets like MSNBC. Dylan Ratigan was great. Crystal Ball was good. What's the Melissa Harris Perry?
Melissa Harris Perry.
These are people that went against the grain, and it didn't take much. What does that book say? I can't read it. I'm sorry.
I was trying to Shikoku.
There it is, 72. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so that's
great book.
If Pac-Man and the rest of and Cedar, whatever his name, wants to get up there to the ranks, they got to tote that line. They got to stay in line. They got to stay within those parameters. And if they ever go out, because they've been out of, they push the edge with us as progressives, but a lot of stuff that they brought up would not tote the line being on MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get out of
sometimes some of them
that channel, they're subject to being, Dylan Radigan's and Melissa Harris Perry's and such.
And forget it. I forgot.
And alike, I meant to say. So
I know.
That's the go ahead. Sorry.
This is off topic here, but my mom's watching, and I wanted to give her a big shout out for getting me my mic today. And so I don't.
Hi, Mom. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks.
I knew something was missing, Stevie. Was that phone?
I know. I was like,
yes, I'm finally
invisible?
free.
That is so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna miss that phone. Can you do it like every once in a while though?
It's objective for me,
Just for
about,
fun's sake?
just on my own disillusionment. But I think that my disenchantment with the media, the liberal media, or whatever, happened at the same time as a lot of other people and some events. And I just think that the power of belief is important. There were a lot of liberals throughout all the rungs of media where they really believed in it and they were doing good work. And now it's going to be like what? Like, I mean, people going into it knowing that it's just for the money, or knowing, like the passionate journalists. I just like going to journalism school or whatever. I just see that as something that's like going to be a bygone ages if we don't like, I don't know, keep things honest or whatever. And I don't know. We're totally ostracized. They've proven that. You don't see this group getting bigger. You don't see like everything exploding or anything. Even though, like, I don't know, I believe firmly in the righteousness of, Tim's and so on's views. So.
That's a good point, and this is what he's saying. I fully agree. There are so many. It's crazy. There are so many independent video journalists. I think Eben's a journalist. I think Broken's whatever. I think Broken's a journalist. I think Kelly's a journalist. The things that you guys say, we're reporting information and bringing it home. Erik throws out something every once in a while, but there's some independent people that are doing the real work. Hard Bastard, Sane Progressive, Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, and the list goes on of some other people out there. But it's sad that it's not mainstream. That's the biggest, saddest.
I say that, and let me say one more thing. I'll be quiet. I will be quiet for a while. I just want to say that, like, I say that we should all get together, and I watched a little bit extra of the Sam Seeger after I watched the unadulterated Tim Black interview, and then I watched some TYT, and they were talking about Flander the Cat. So, but and it makes me feel that way. But I guess there's that same stuff that makes you sick. Like when Jon Stewart used to watch like Fox News and some stuff just made you like feel awful, like rubbed you like totally wrong. It's just totally just ridiculous and false. And so like I guess I forget that, and I could be reminded of that real quick once you have to work together people. But I mean, because I think there is that element still there to it, very thick in media, cable news, so forth. Okay, I'm being quiet now. Thank you guys.
I just wanted to add in, if I was not mistaken, today after ragging on Tim yesterday, today Cedar had on. I saw it on my YouTube menu.
The weasel guy.
Cedar had on the bionic mustache. Yeah, Dave Weasel. If you could believe that. Yeah. I mean, to have him the next day is just like, yeah, you just showed us for sure who you are.
You've gone full Dave Rubin. You never go full Dave Rubin.
Jeez. Dave Rubin, the vanilla ice cream of indie media. I wouldn't put down vanilla ice cream. He's more like beige paint.
Just like no, I'm not no, I don't support white nationalism. Now let me bring on all these white nationalists just onto my program.
Yeah, and talk to them like they're reasonable fucking human beings. You know, that's wouldn't be my style, but you know, that's me.
So I decided to pull up a CNN article, just the first thing I could find on the NATO fighter jet that tried to intercept the plane of Russian defense minister Sergei Shoigu. Anyway, I just wanted to see like what, because I haven't been reading CNN, and it's a pretty involved article, yet it says nothing in this article about like NATO, like the other thing that I was talking about last night in the article I posted, which was like the history of NATO and how we, there was an agreement that we weren't pushing into their borders. So
Is he
I just think it's interesting that they don't, they just give you this little piece of it, and it's just so slanted. And I don't know. I guess it is up to us to pull that information up and share it.
You're an Iron Man, Jamaro. 2 hours on Tim. Now you're doing after hours with us.
Really?
I actually enjoy it. It feels like joining a bunch of friends or something. I like it.
Yeah,
It's like crack, buddy. I'm telling you, it's like crack.
Nothing.
I'm not saying I know anything about that.
If we had a pool table and a dartboard, we'd be cheers.
I know, right?
We need to play the theme music.
I enjoy it.
So, Jamal, you found the same stuff about what Ebon found? That confusion with Bernie's vote?
No, I saw the 98 thing. I saw the Sanders vote. I had to retract one of my videos and put up a new one. Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul were the only two who voted against it. I just heard Ebon mention that there was another resolution or something that came after that.
Amendment.
Or I think it was before, actually. It's confusing, but...
Okay, I guess we better get all this straight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But I wanted to respond to the other cat. I know there's a lag who said we should just be kumbaya with the Democrats. Oh, man, I can't disagree more. Through the kumbaya. Let it burn. Let it burn. If the Democratic Party is in a situation where they full well understand that they're going to lose each and every vote, then let it burn. Let it burn. They're not going to get it until they figure that out.
I mean,
I am on that bandwagon of kumbaya. I am not on that bandwagon. What do you expect to fundamentally change in this country if you continue to go with the same party, the way this party has been? Meaning any change that takes place in this country takes place from the left. Do you honestly believe that the Democratic Party represents the left and is in any way a functional party in regards to leftist politics?
No.
I agree with you.
I think what the Democrats honestly need to do is they just need to keep going to the right, as far to the right. And just let us come in and do our own thing, because that's the direction they're going anyway. They just might as well keep going all the way over to the right and just leave us all alone.
They spent over $20 million on that right winger in Georgia.
Yep.
That man spent his entire time trying to be a Republican. I'm a Republican. I'm a closest thing to a Republican that's not a Republican. Either you don't know who you are, or you're lying.
It goes even worse than that. Do they not understand the concept of competition? I mean, have these taken a business class? You don't compete by saying, well, I've got the same thing the other guy's got by me.
I'm exactly the same as this other product, right? But I'm not going to call myself a product. That's amazing.
I'm down here in Georgia, Jamal.
All of that money, they just burned through that money.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia here, and I'm going to tell you, the only good thing now is that I don't have to watch another damn advertisement for job off or get another stupid door handle with a Karen handle on it. Oh my word! I can't tell you. Yesterday, on Monday, I went out to the chiropractor. I'm coming through the parking lot, and there's this light up sided bus truck van thing, and it's huge. And on the side, beat Trump, vote for John Ossoff, blinking at me. I was like, damn it! I don't want to see that anymore. I got all the mail. I showed this mail on one of our previous shows These were the things I was getting in the mail.
That's terrifying. That's
Yeah, I
terrifying.
mean, it's like that's what they're doing.
I'm so angry.
Yeah.
They're mailing.
Ooh, scary Trump. Oh, we should be so afraid.
Giant Ossoff poster ad. Let's see what it says. Oh man, it's time to build bridges, not walls.
I don't know what that means.
He says, every day I've been inspired by the energy, enthusiasm, and determination of voters like you. What I hear over and over again is that Georgians want bridges, not walls, and that we believe in unity, not division. Enjoy this poster. Oh boy, I'll put it right up. Remember to vote, and thank you for everything you do. Yeah.
What they
No,
fundamentally
We lead with our values, you know.
so many ads and letters, and oh yeah, this one. The I'm fighting back with the punching gloves on it. That was how they ran this campaign down here in Atlanta. Take it from me, because I heard all the ads, and so much of it was like revenge voting. It's like, if you're mad about Trump, it's like they weren't really talking about how great this guy was or what he could do. He comes on the TV and he's this scrawny little weenie beanpole dude who is like 30-something, I mean, young, 10 years younger than me, and I'm like, what? And my dad is like a real old Southerner, 75, like, man, he just got out of college, didn't he?
You
I was
want
like, yeah, I think so.
you want to know something? I was getting pissed off because I was getting almost like 2 emails per day for John Ossoff. It was
You in Boston? Why?
I don't know. Either it's through Act Blue or whatever. They have my email address, so they just keep spamming it. I had to delete it. I had to make a filter so it goes automatically to my trash bin in my email. And I'm looking at my trash. It gets deleted every 30 days. So for a whole month, in my trash with the name John Ossoff, I have 80 emails, spam emails.
Oh, wow. Are you serious? And you don't even live down here.
Nope, I don't even live down there. Just
It
because
was nauseating.
I donated for certain progressives in the 2016 race, so they have my emails somewhere, and they just keep
I've had
saying.
to unsubscribe to so many stupid Democratic emails. I swear, just because I supported Obama the first time around, I've got like 1 million. They don't want to ever let go. They're like, please, you believed in us once. Come on, come back. Like hanging on my leg, like, please don't go.
So, would you vote for another Democrat?
Iban, just real quick, Iban, I just DM'd you Bernie Sanders' statement on Iran-Russia sanctions.
Okay, yeah.
Democrats are better Republicans, but they got to stop making Republicans look more honest than them.
Yeah, I agree. I firmly agree. I mean, you have a party who's supposed to be representatives of the 99%. So they talk like FDR. They talk like all these guys. They act like Ronald Reagan. And if you're a Republican, I put it this way. I have a Twitter, multiple of Democrats. Most of the things they say, you can find it to be hypocritical. That's a problem. That's a major problem. Imagine yourself a Republican looking at a Democratic thing and saying, that guy's lying to me over and over and over again. I mean, they make themselves hypocrites. Howard Dean, like somebody would say, hey, we found the law that Trump is violating. Somebody else kind of quotes back, hey, we found the law that you yourself are violating. You guys are being bribed. It was like, boy, they got to the next. I agree. They need to stop being liars.
Wow.
I agree.
Clueless.
Yeah, I know around here, like we used to be like diehard Democrats. And then within the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, we flipped Republican because the Democrats have burned us so bad. And so, I mean, but we're still stuck in the mindset of, one party's good and one party's bad. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen after the Republicans screw them over. Like, are we going to go towards the Mountain Party, which is like our version of the Green Party, or what's going to happen? Are they just not going to vote anymore?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, the number of people who vote has gone down. I mean, it consistently goes down. Obama was different, but that was because he was a black president. But it consistently went down afterwards. And in this election, again, one of the lowest.
Does anyone know the information of the John Ossoff the voting of how many people actually didn't vote?
I really don't know.
Because I'm wondering if people were like, I'm just not going to vote because
that's what happened.
I did see where Ariel said Ariel like said in the chat room something about his collars being too big, his shirt collars being too big.
Oh yeah.
all I could think was his mommy buy some bigger shirts so they can grow into them.
Sean Ossoff probably just pony ride when he won. You know, he looked like he would like a pony ride.
So
yeah,
cotton candy.
I just did a search.
Get him one of those little beanie hats with the propeller.
So I just did a search, and this is from Salon, so take it or leave it. Only 58% of eligible voters
Take it or leave it.
turned out for the Georgia special election.
How many?
58%.
Yeah, that doesn't
That may
support
not-
it.
What's the usual? Because that doesn't necessarily
True.
sound low.
Yeah.
It was extremely
That's-
rainy here yesterday too. Like it was pouring down rain all day. It was really crappy weather. So I bet you anything that just made people go, eh. You know.
Well, Rachel Maddow
I know
blamed
the
that.
area. I know what Georgia's like, and it's a really weird place because, you know, a lot of Atlanta is actually very either liberal or progressive because, you know, there's a lot of minorities here, and there's a lot of people that are more, you know, progressive leaning. So if you had actually given us a good candidate that really stood for something, I think it would have been a lot different. But you also still have a lot of that old Southern, you know, rednecky white man guard. And so that's why I'm saying it's a little funny. And a woman won. Okay. So, you know, this is coming from a state where a lot of the guys are like, y'all little ladies, you don't need to worry your pretty little heads about the politicking. Let us men folk take care of it. You know, it's that kind of thing. And so there is that attitude. So it is saying something that a woman won. But it's because she is this tough kind of looking lady that looks like she could, you know, take a punch. And my feeling is always that
You probably could.
she is. She looks like a bulldog. She's like, I'm gonna get you, you know. And you got little John also. It's like, I'll try, you know. So it's just it's like,
Well,
let's face it, whatever you want to say, physical appearance does factor into elections. It absolutely does.
well, I mean, Neera Tanden must be overjoyed at the big feminist win yesterday. Then,
But my feeling is too that, you know, it's just it shows you kind of where the state is going, where it's at. I think a lot of it is in flux, but what's really sick and what, you know, Jamal keeps talking about is the money that was spent, because it was like over $32 million on a campaign when our infrastructure is damn falling apart in this city. We don't have great public transit. There's so many things that we need in Atlanta and out throughout the state, and those things aren't being taken care of. You know, they're dumping it all on this stupid little dude. The first time I clapped eyes on that guy, I said, that guy's not going to win. There's no damn way. Because the trouble is in the world that, you know, strong and loud and wrong will always be weak and unsure and right. It doesn't matter how right you are. If you come off like this little cringing thing, nobody's going to listen to that. They're going to listen to the dude that sounds confident and loud, even if he's totally wrong.
I agree. It's
called the Rand Paul effect.
He seems like the kind of person that would like have his name written in his underwear, you know? Like just a total weenie. But
that's what I said. He was a little weenie dude.
What is the are felons allowed to vote in your state? Because I think that's a huge factor. I think in some states. Like I'm just curious.
Couldn't hear what you said.
Are felons allowed to vote in your state?
You know, I'm honestly not sure. I really am not sure. I would tend to probably say no, simply because Georgia tends to be more conservative. That's just, you know, and it's so funny because, you know, I've lived here and I've lived in Oregon, and the difference is just huge night and day on social programs and the whole thing. It's nuts to live in somewhere that's extremely liberal and then be down here. It's, you know, there's a lot of people that are liberal leaning. My very best friend Natrina, she's a black girl, and she unfortunately is really largely bought into the Democrats. But I sprinkle some facts on her whenever I can. I have a chance. It's not worth fighting about for me because I just love her. She's a wonderful person. But, you know, I can understand where people are coming from on that side, because that machine, that Democrat machine, the NPR, the whole thing, it's so strong and it's so persistent. And so it brainwashes really effectively, you know, but I don't want to vilify people that are different from me, because that's not going to help. You know, I want to reach out and be friendly, and we can have a good conversation, and I can point out, well, this is right, or this is, you know, I think something different. And that way, you know, you can bring them around to see where they're getting hoodwinked. You know?
All right, so Lucas, hold on, Jamal. Lucas, yeah, do you want to do a mic test?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Awesome.
Have you been on before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been off for about a week now.
Yeah, okay, I remember. All right, sorry, go on. Jamal, were you saying something?
Oh no, you're fine. No, I'm skeptical. African Americans have a particular way with politics with us. It's Democrats. Yeah, now, keep in mind, 89% of us voted for Hillary Clinton. That's an amazing number. That is an amazing number. That is a number that you wouldn't be able to hit. I can't conceive of any such thing as somebody voting for such a horrible candidate.
Right.
Now, but they do so for cultural reasons. And they do so for the most part because we don't consider that there to be two parties. We only consider there to be one. So your friend is going to have to break this idea of there being multiple parties for her.
Right.
And that's not the easy thing to do. Like from the time you're raised to the time you get older, for the most part, you consider the Democratic Party as my party. There is no other party. The Democratic Party passed the Civil Rights Act. You had LBJ and all this other good stuff. You had the Voting Rights Act. You had the Democrats reaching out to a populace, a race that had nobody to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
And that culturally built into the person, per se. That is a hard thing to break. That is a hard thing to break.
And Bill Clinton did the black churches thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was like the first white guy white president to sort of go into the churches and speak to black people in their places. And that meant something. And so that carried on, even though he was a shitty president for black people, you know?
No, him and his saxophone.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Remember?
Yes, with the dude with the 6 foot long fingers. Oh, what the hell was his name?
I don't remember, but I know who you're talking
about.
What?
Arsenio Hall.
Yes, thank you. The dude has fingers like this fucking. Like his cock must be this fucking big if his fingers are any touch of it. I'd like to see him shake hands with Donald. Palm a basketball. That guy can palm a pumpkin.
So the new thing is, just letting you know, I just put it up earlier. It's the memes that are coming out of the Democratic minions. Are their congrats to Georgia. You just voted for an unlivable wage, fewer civil rights, unfavorable health care. They're blaming the state of Georgia, the Democrats.
We didn't have that to begin with. That's what's funny. They're acting like I already had health care. I don't. I didn't before. I'm not going to now. You're not going to miss what you don't have. Sorry to say. Things are going to change a hell of a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ossoff didn't represent that. Ossoff was a shitty, corrupt candidate, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a bunch of ass.
You don't get $20 million and be pristine as a candidate. You just don't.
I'll lay you bets that when Clinton picked Kane because he spoke Spanish, that was sort of, she picked the right wing Democrat, that she could make an inroad, do the same thing as Bill did with black people by having him go in and do whatever he was going to do. I would just lay your bets that was part of the calculations.
That was a bad
Except it backfired. Yeah, that was a bad. I was gonna say that's a bad calculation. Because once he spoke Spanish at the DNC, that his favorability ratings among Hispanic voters went way down.
Well, it wasn't just that; it was also progressives. I mean, keep in mind, progressives looked at it as, all right, you cheated us on Sanders. At the very least, you have to pick Elizabeth Warren. That's the way they look. I mean, we looked at it. At least that I'm aware we looked at it, whatever the hell that means.
Well, I mean, anyone, even if it wasn't Elizabeth Warren, anyone other than Tim Kaine, anyone who was to the left of her. Instead, she chose someone further to the right of her. It was basically a giant middle finger to everyone, else, all the progressives.
Exactly.
It was a slap in the face.
Exactly it.
All of this is a giant middle finger. Everything from picking Tom Perez, everything from even us to some degree, is a middle finger. Like, I guess I'm making this point that each and every opportunity that the Democratic Party had to show that they were even winking in a different direction, they didn't take.
Yeah.
Didn't take.
Well, not only did they not take it, but they went out of their way to spit at us.
Right, to do the opposite. I would even
Henry
argue
Kissinger, John Negroponte. I mean, you could go down a list of serious freaking war criminals. They were all behind Hillary. I mean, I can't support that. I can't support a candidate that Henry Kissinger supports.
Well, I mean, she herself is a war criminal. She voted for the Iraq War.
Well, exactly. I mean, Libya's her war crime.
Libya.
Yeah,
Libya.
I mean, not Benghazi. It was using Libya as a staging ground to ship arms to Syria so that she could keep the war going. Ship arms to ISIS in Syria so that she could keep that war going.
Well, that's what I think that we should send Hillary to Libya and let the people deal with her. We should send Obama to Syria and let the people deal with him. We should send Iraq or Bush to Iraq. We should send Cheney to Afghanistan. We should send for Kissinger. I think Kissinger needs an international war crimes tribunal with like the most publicly awful execution we can think of.
Like a William Wallace execution.
Yeah.
No, Hillary Clinton, I want in an Arkansas jail. For life. In the orange jumpsuit and the crappy food and 2 books and that's it.
Yeah, but she's got millions of dollars. She wouldn't go to a poor people prison.
She'd be in Martha Stewart.
In my world, she would.
Martha Stewart.
The Supreme Court just passed that. What did it? They just struck down a thing saying, well, essentially the bill in the lawsuit said, will you allow a law or can people bring prosecutions against the United States government if the U.S. government is doing something? Oh, I'm saying this wrong. I'm saying this really poorly. Essentially, can you bring charges against the people who are making the decisions, the big people in the government? So if John Ashcroft make a decision, that decision filters down to the people, that hurts people. This is going to immigrants being captured by ICE or being captured in the sense of after 9/11. They were breaking bones. They were injuring people, beating people brutally. The Supreme Court said, well, we don't want to be dealing with these because we will have to deal into each and every decision. We have to figure out what they were thinking. We don't want to do that. So no, those people are free from prosecution, meaning nobody can sue. Trump is free to essentially have his minions do bad things, and there will be no those people to have law against those other people. That's amazing. My point is just filtering to what you guys are saying in regards to Hillary Clinton being in the jumpsuit. It's like, how do you get to those people? It seems like those people, it doesn't matter. It's like they're doing really bad, nasty stuff, and those people are still. George Bush right now is finger painting.
Yeah, George Bush was vilified for 8 years. I helped vilify him, and that was the thing that torqued me off. They went from George Bush and then put in Obama and did the same goddamn thing,
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, it was even worse under Obama. I mean, you could argue that, I mean, under Bush, they actually put away some of these corrupt bankers. Some of them died in prison, but under Obama, they were bailed out.
Yeah, Bush actually prosecuted one of his friends that was a banker that was responsible for the collapse back in 2000, or back actually, sorry, not in 2007. But someone back in his first term, he had a friend who was a banker that participated in the recession of 98, 99, and he put him in jail. And even though they were buddies, and Barack Obama let all the people he wasn't friends with go because he knew he was going to get speaking fees once he got out. And now we're going to have a recession even bigger than the last one.
Well, and my biggest problem with this, and it's why I couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I can't vote for somebody that's going to do it in the name of the Progressive Party.
Right.
It's in our name. You know, it's in our name. Everything it's done. And so what happened? What happened to the anti-war movement? Barack Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's suddenly half the people have amnesia about war.
Well, it wasn't Republicans who sent thugs out to beat up the Occupy Wall Street protesters.
The reason that it feels more egregious when somebody who is supposed to be progressive or forward or liberal thinking does something like this is the same reason it always feels worse if a religious person does something evil, because you hold them to a higher standard. So when they do it, it feels way worse. Always. Yeah.
It feels like they're not being
expect
honest.
better from them. You expect better, and then when they don't behave better, it's extremely demoralizing.
And that war night at the DNC at the convention, where we had generals and every asshole in the universe with like stars and lots of dead bodies trailing behind them. Got speaking time on the DNC. I mean, and they didn't understand why, when oh shit.
Snork is asleep. Snork, are you awake?
Oh, Broken, I know what you're talking about. Whenever the ex CIA guy went up and he spoke.
Yes.
And the guy who laughed about how many shooting wars we're in.
Special moment. Sorry to break it up. Snork, you're finally on at the same time as Jamal.
I know. That's what I've been saying.
And you.
Okay,
and you're falling asleep.
Yeah, let me do the intro for you, Jamal. So, Snork, you don't know what his level of engineering and intellect is, but it's freaking pretty damn high.
Okay.
And he knows a lot of stuff. And then he chimes in with his cool, smooth, Barry White voice every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah, you'll hear it. And he'll say some pretty profound things and then I look up everything he talks about. And he's spot on.
I don't look up
and I'm pretty sure Zork knows who you are. You're like a celebrity.
He gives us these like wow moments where we're like just
blown away.
We're blown away. We're sinking it in, and then we're like, we don't know what to say.
There's nothing you can't say.
The first time Snort came on was we were talking about Fukushima, and he just came in and dropped all this incredible knowledge of detailed, nuclear engineering on us, and just all the truth
right away.
Yeah, it was incredible. I actually have a small excerpt I wanted to read to you guys from Helen Caldecott, who Snort might be aware of because she's a 78-year-old Australian woman who has devoted a huge portion of her life to protesting nuclear energy. She's an incredible woman. And if you get a hold of her, Helen Caldecott, go on YouTube. Her lectures are mind-blowing. So she was talking about some of the things that have actually happened very recently from our wonderful meddling. So let me just read a little bit of this to you. This is going to get Snork wired up too, because this is his language. This is his language.
It's like starting a magnesium engine on fire.
So, EMC2 is the energy that blows up nuclear bombs. She wrote this in 2011. Einstein said nuclear power is a hell of a way to boil water because that is all nuclear power is used for, to boil water through the massive heat into steam.
That's true.
and turn a turbine which generates electricity. Now, when you fission uranium, 200 new elements are formed, all of which are much more poisonous to the body than the original uranium. Although uranium is pretty poisonous, America used it in Fallujah and in Baghdad. And in Fallujah, 80% of the babies being born now are grossly deformed. They're being born without brains, single eyes, no arms. The doctors have told the women to stop having babies. The incidence of childhood cancer has gone up about 12 times. This is genocide. It's a nuclear war being conducted in Iraq. The uranium that they're using lasts more than 4.5 billion years, so we're contaminating the cradle of civilization. In the nuclear power plants, however, there's a huge amount of radiation, 200 elements. Some last seconds, some last millions of years. Radioactive iodine lasts 6 weeks and causes thyroid cancer. That's why people are saying you better take potassium iodide because that blocks the thyroid uptake of radioactive iodine, which can later cause thyroid cancer. In Chernobyl, over 20,000 people have developed thyroid cancer. They have their thyroids out, and they will die unless they take thyroid replacement every day, like a diabetic has to take insulin. Strontium-90 will get out. It lasts 600 years. It goes to the bone where it causes bone cancer or leukemia. Cesium lasts for 600 years. It's all over Europe. 40% of Europe is still radioactive. Turkish food is extremely radioactive. Do not buy Turkish apricots or Turkish hazelnuts. The Turkish were so cross with the Russians, they sent all the radioactive tea over to Russia after Chernobyl. 40% of Europe is still highly radioactive. Farms in Britain, their lamb is so full of cesium they can't sell them, so you really shouldn't eat European food. That's nothing compared to what's happening now. One of the most deadly nuclear byproducts is plutonium, named after Pluto, god of the underworld. 1/1,000,000th of a gram, if you inhale it, will give you cancer. Hypothetically, 1 pound of plutonium, if evenly distributed, could give everyone on Earth cancer. 1 pound could give everyone on Earth cancer. Each reactor has 250 kilograms of plutonium in it. You only need 2.5 kilograms to make an atomic bomb because plutonium was what they make bombs with. So any country that has a reactor works with your uranium. Canada is the biggest exporter of uranium in the world. Canada sells 2 things. It sells wheat for life and uranium for death. Plutonium is going to get out and spread all over the Northern Hemisphere. It's already heading towards North America now. Radioactive iodine plus strontium plus cesium plus tritium, and I could go on and on. When it rains, down comes fallout, and it concentrates in the food. If it gets in the sea, the algae concentrate it hundreds of times. The crustaceans concentrate hundreds of times, then the little fish, then the big fish, and then us. Because we stand on the apex of the food chain, you can't taste these radioactive food elements. You can't see them, you can't smell them. They're silent. When they get inside of your body, you don't suddenly drop dead of cancer. It takes 5 to 6 years to get your cancer. And when you feel a lump in your breast, it doesn't say, I was made by some strontium-90 in a piece of fish you ate 20 years ago. All radiation is damaging. It's cumulative. Each dose you get adds to your risk of getting cancer. The americium is more dangerous than plutonium. Depends if it rains, if you're going to get it or not. If it rains and the radiation comes down, don't grow food, don't eat the food. And I mean don't eat it for 600 years. So yeah, I mean, you could go on, but this woman is unreal. She's incredible. But this is, something to trigger you, Snork.
You should send me that article because I read that article 6 years ago and haven't been able to find it since.
Oh really?
That excerpt, yeah, and that's like one of my favorite. That was like one of the original things I read that made me against nuclear energy.
Oh yeah, she's an incredible fireball of a woman, and she's 78 years old.
And Iraq, one of the problems is they used a lot of depleted uranium rounds.
The weapons, yeah, and the weapons.
And I actually think that's one of the reasons why they started decommissioning the A-10.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was especially horrid for depleted uranium, and I think they even have problems with like the pilots and that the guys handling the ammo and all that.
All right,
go ahead.
Is she right? I mean,
yeah, she's pretty much right. There's things that are a little different.
Mic check.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Am I real quiet or something?
Yeah.
No, you're on.
Low.
Okay.
Well, I'm going deaf.
Hmm?
We're all waiting.
Well, I know there's alpha and beta waves. One of them can go through like fabric and stuff. One can't.
Okay.
I can't remember all the stuff I learned in toxic waste abatement, but
I actually can help on that bit. So there's 3 forms of decay that are associated with radioactivity. There's alpha decay, where essentially what happens is that the initial radioactive element loses the equivalent mass of a helium atom. The helium nucleus gets jettisoned from the original nucleus, and thus shifts the order of the element 2 steps down. These tend to be highly charged. The particles themselves are highly charged, but they don't have a lot of penetrating power. When you have beta decay, it's a little more complicated because you're either creating a positron or an electron in the process. But the essential idea is that you can gain or lose a neutron during that process, depending on how that decay
That's kind of
works.
oversimplified.
And so these have greater penetrating power, but they have less charge by a factor of 2. And then there's gamma rays, gamma decay, which is kind of a misnomer in some ways because it's not decaying per se. What happens is that the entire atom jumps up in energy level. It's sort of like it reaches a new state of highly excited hyperactivity for a brief second, and then it lowers down. And as it's lowering down, it's releasing that excess energy in the form of radiation. And this is what we call gamma rays. Gamma rays aren't very heavily charged, but they have the most penetrating power. This is the stuff that causes you the cancer.
Yeah.
So,
Well, actually, that's kind of a little bit oversimplified. It goes along with some of the old stuff they used to give to the military people for radiation training to make them feel a little bit safer. One of the things, I guess, to Jamarl, quick thing is, I'm a manufacturing engineer. Think of a pizza restaurant. I don't design I don't make the recipe for the pizza. I figure out how to make the box.
Right.
It doesn't get to the customer until it's got that box.
Yeah.
So
No, I feel you.
I don't have the most I'm not the most glamorous type of engineer there is. You're probably
You don't have to be. You don't have to be.
24 inches or at least probably no more than 12 feet from something I've had a hand in. But in engineering, when you solve a problem, you've got to go find a new job.
I'm a software engineer, so you're not that far away from me on this one.
I get expertise in a lot of different areas because the first 6 months of an engineer at a job, that's when you learn the most. Oh, you do this. And you learn all those strange aspects of a certain product. And when you know the strange aspects of other products, pretty soon you start to see a world that's going on that the others don't see.
Right.
I worked with the largest pile in the world of americium. I have made devices that go directly from solid nuclear fuel to electricity without water.
Oh, wow.
Scared the people that assembled it so bad, I had to get on a plane and fly there and actually pick it up and show them that it was safe.
Wow. Wow.
But this was about the size of a AA battery. But anyway, Um, what nuclear, especially since we had a large pile of americium, 241 is a strong alpha emitter. 90% of the time when it emits as alpha particle.
Okay.
Of the time it doesn't. So they in safety manuals they tend to say, well, alpha is mostly harmless. It can be stopped by a piece of paper. That is one alpha particle emitted from a near smooth surface.
Yeah.
When multiple alpha particles are emitted from a large charged area, and it's not a flat surface, they can push each other. If you go across the forces in the universe, gravity is actually a fairly weak force.
Right.
It's hard to fight. The strong force is the force of electrostatics.
Correct.
So electrostatic really pushes. So when you have
following you on some of this, I was a physics major for a while, so I can follow you. So go for it.
Hey,
go for it. No, I love physics. I started going to a physics major degree for a long time, quantum, all this stuff. So I understand some of this. It's just been a while since I've heard it. But go for it.
The manuals say 4 centimeters away from a surface of an alpha emitter, you're probably safe from the alpha.
Right.
Because theoretically most of it is dissipated in that first 4 centimeters. That it won't penetrate a piece of paper. Well, as it gets extra charges, it gets more speed. So in our facility, by our americium pot, there was an 18-foot dome, 18-foot diameter dome that was basically, no pipes had any dust on them. And what I told my staff was, don't stay in any areas where you don't see dust on the pipes, because that means that in that area you're getting particles that are charging to dust and making it want to go away.
I see. You're saying okay. I see. You're saying the test itself. Okay.
So all these clean areas, you didn't want to be in them, and I didn't want to repeat everything we said in the other day, but I see people testing for alpha type radioactive materials with their Geiger counters in bags to keep their Geiger counter clean, which pretty much means that the most damaging thing inside the body is alpha. And unless you're testing with a mica based, basically alpha transparent material, you can't see the alpha easily. So if it's in a bag, it's going to be severely attenuated or not detectable. So they'll go out over a boatload of fish, and they'll scan with a Geiger counter and say, "Oh, we're not getting any hits because this load of fish is clean." And alpha tends to be mostly attenuated by fish scales. So you can't even really tell if it's good if even if the fish are sitting in front of you whole. And so if you got the bag, you got the scales, you're not really testing it.
That's terrifying.
That's one of the reasons why Japan, in their deal for NAFTA, they wanted to be able to sell their rice to the United States and use rice from the United States there, so we would share the burden. But the only place the United States would buy it would be the school system for school lunches. So there is a clause underneath NAFTA.
Dork, I also just want to chime in and say, I mean, Hillary Clinton was one of the big spearheaders of lowering the radiation standards for imported foods simply so that we could keep buying food from Japan. And that was
under TPP.
quite recently, yeah.
We would not have been allowed to even test it.
How much radioactivity can be in our food so that they could continue importing from them.
Yeah, but under TPP, we could not refuse a shipment by its radioactivity.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sick feeling it is when you know about all this.
And then the material that was worse than americium was curium, and that was found in air samples taken in Vermont after Fukushima. And the correct pronunciation is Fukushima. The Japanese whisper the ima.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not my Iowa accent that I'm saying Fukushima.
Hey Snork, I've got a question about Fukushima. I don't know if you can answer it, but I want to ask it anyway.
Fukushima.
So, has anyone tried making any robots to go into Fukushima using hydraulics rather than digital technology? Because I know that they say that none of the robots last more than a couple hours getting it in the plant. I'm not sure what extent they used hydraulics. It could use cooling and whatever. It's just that the amount of radiation and the types of radiation as you get close are excessive. When you have that amount of radiation, I don't care what you put into it, you don't know what you have a short period of time afterwards. Now, the Chernobyl was a much less severe situation than Fukushima. And when the helicopters that were dumping the graphite to put the fires out flew over Chernobyl, it changed the color of the helicopters.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yep.
So again, Fukushima, depending on who you speak to, was between 4 to 50 times worse than Chernobyl. And actually, we haven't even done a small percentage of the corrections that the Russians did, and I don't think we'll ever know exactly what steps they took. They actually took on quite a sacrifice, and we know that they lost a lot more people than they're saying they did.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
But again, that's a sacrifice from Russia that should be recognized, just as the Chinese should be recognized for their fight against global warming. And very few people ever mention what they're for 40 years limiting their people to one child, what that did for global warming. Because our biggest problem is people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this. That's interesting. All right, so should people put in policies, governments, to limit childbirth? That's interesting. If you're going to say that they should be applauded for it, and look, I'm not saying I disagree. I'm asking, is that a policy that should be put worldwide?
I don't know.
International.
But
and wait.
With education, it wouldn't be necessary. Like if with proper education.
Well, one addition. Well, wait a minute. Proper education. What do you mean? Proper education for them?
No, I mean, like I'm saying, is people wouldn't want to bring a world into they knew was going to burn.
The fact of the matter is, the more educated people are, generally, the less children they have.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
That does tend to follow.
That's the premise of the movie Idiocracy, is that the stupid people had kept having a lot of kids because they didn't use protection, whereas the smart people waited too long.
Right. And I mean, that's really a lot of it too, is that, I mean, people that genuinely want children I feel that they should have them within reason. I mean, you shouldn't be having 15 kids these days, but
yeah.
you know, at the same time, I'm not going to tell someone not to have a kid if they really, really want it. But I've never wanted kids, and there's a lot of people who never want kids, and they either get irresponsible, they don't use birth control, et cetera, and they have them anyway. And that's not doing you any favors having a kid you didn't really want.
No, I agree. I agree.
So I think it's a weird thing where a lot of people just feel pressured by either family or society or whatever it is, that they feel like they have to go do it, even if it's not something they necessarily want. I know plenty of women that have never wanted kids. I know.
Well, I know my family really does not want me to get the vasectomy I'm planning on getting this fall.
Fight the power, man.
I really think that the Duggars should have been vilified and humiliated just to help prevent other people from trying to do the same thing.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying it should be vilified. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not trying to vilify at all. And I don't even necessarily disagree. I had a conversation with a friend, and him and I were going back and forth, and I was like, we should limit the number of kids that people have. And he was like, there's no way. That's insane. That's crazy. And I was kind of making this point of, look, what's the world that you want? And if you're saying that we're going to have a certain population, that population is going to grow, is it going to cause damage to the world? And what is that damage going to be? What's the toll that's going to cause? What's the toll in society?
Yeah, I mean,
now,
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I was being hyperbolic with him. So don't misunderstand me. But the point is earnest. But I will make a point that you would go somewhere first. What about food production?
Right.
Agriculture. Agriculture will be a big driver of it. If you're talking about like meat production, when you go there before limiting kids.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is, too, I mean, it's a lot of factors that have led us to have so many numbers in the first place. I mean, without petroleum-based fertilizers, we wouldn't have this many dang people in the first place because we simply wouldn't be able to feed them all. Second, you've got modern medicine, which allows people to stay alive even when they actually should die from cancer or a heart attack or whatever it is, but we can keep them alive. We're adding over 200,000 people to the planet every day, and that is accounting for death rates. We're adding 200,000 people a day, roughly, to the planet. And we can't keep going like that. People that think we can, that have this sort of, infinite growth theory, they're living in a dream.
Well, that's why economics exists, is to justify people's the whole infinite growth religion and people who think that we can do that forever. Because that's the whole idea behind economics, is that we always have to be expanding and growing on a planet with finite resources.
Yeah, that's insane.
Pampers and Johnson & Johnson and all these companies, they get rich every time somebody got a baby. They're gonna make some damn money. Don't you believe the doctors, the insurance, the big pharma, they're all making heaps of money every time someone has a baby. So short term, they want people to do that because they're gonna make a killing. But long term, it's killing us because it's like you got a big old pie. And if you've got just, 12 people, you're going to be all right. Everybody's going to get a nice piece. They're going to be happy. It's going to be, fulfilling. But the more people come along, before you know it, you're taking a smaller and smaller piece. More and more people get hungry. Then they start fighting over the pie. Yeah.
Well, that's why the suicide rates for men over 40 in the United States have jumped up so high.
Yes.
It's because of overpopulation. There's not enough jobs to go around for people in our population. Employers want younger people that they can push around and they can pay less.
Yes.
Wait, there's another way to look at that. There's two ways to look at that. You can say there's not enough jobs to go around, or maybe the economic system is wired in a way that needs to be changed.
Both.
Yeah. Exactly. Because you're looking at it purely from the standpoint of what we must maintain this capitalistic society. I would say this capitalistic society needs to crumble.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, the only point I'm thinking is there's no way. Either society should be built for people, or it should be built for capital. In this case, we're built for capital. Yeah. Then no, you can't have a society where you're going to add on people like that, because no, there are never going to be enough jobs. But going this is the way it's going, you're not going to have enough jobs anyway. Just with the people that you have, as automation kicks in, when they have all these taxis that are just automatic taxis, those taxi drivers are going to be out of jobs. And what does that mean in the sense of people in a society, in a capitalistic society? Those people no longer have jobs. Those people are poor, and it's what they have. Like I'm trying to make this point that going the way this society is going, you're still going to run into those exact same issues, even if you put a limit on the birth rate. Same problem.
Sure.
Automation, exploitation of jobs are going to cause this crunch to the
Well, see,
society.
the thing is that you don't even have to limit the birth rate because nature has proven that once a population of any species reaches critical mass and goes over a certain threshold, after so long of a period of exponential growth, there is a crash and then a stabilization. And we are approaching that crash very rapidly.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing that I don't agree with is I live in a city, and driving to remote spots to go fishing or anywhere, it's out to a farm, right? Drive like 60 miles, and there's a lot of trees, a lot of open space, especially when you get out of the city. There's a lot of space out there. That's a lot of territory. You can build homes, and when you get out there, every home has more space. And to think that we don't have enough room for more people because of the way that just it feels like there's less land. There's still a lot of land out there. We just like to build pockets of high populated areas, and that's not sustainable.
So I think like if you can protect 1 acre of soil, and all of our resources, keep the coral reefs, the bees, where they are, keep it all in harmony. It's all worth something. So like because it's not just about utilizing what we have, it's about keeping it. Because doing some of these things, some of these actual crises with the environment, they're like. They should be more alarming than I think that they are, and so basically that one square mile of land could sustain so many more people. Isn't that like the end of Schindler's List, where like,
here's the thing.
Basically we're looking at it sort of in the vastness of Ebon's conception. There's another way to look at it, which is that we can just continue to punish the earth, and it'll forever be alive.
All right, Snork wanted to say something.
Well, I like to look at it from the permaculture perspective, because the permaculture's perspective says that in a human dwelling you have zones of living, and so like zone 1 is where you spend your daily life, like your human living, and that's like your house and your computer and your office and like your friends and your bedroom. And then you have your zones as they get further out, and zone 5 is for all human settlements. That's the untouched wilderness, and the idea behind permaculture is that always has to be there. Is the wilderness that man does not control, because without that, then we don't have anything to fall back on if there's a collapse within our own societies.
Okay, Snork, go ahead, and then TBC you can go after.
Can I get it?
Hold on, Snork.
If we look at it from
Can you speak louder?
If we think of it based as what is our sustainability?
Louder. Sorry.
It's not coming through for some reason. Get a hammer. I'm sure you have a hammer.
All right. We'll wait.
Yeah.
TBC. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the really big problems I see from population growth and stuff is going to be water and disease.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things that are going to be the biggest 2 problems we're going to have. And, land-wise, hell spells, I'm still want to go and do an Occupy movement of every golf course in America.
Yes, like Carlin always said.
Plant fence across. I just want a bunch of fucking hippies in the middle of Donald Trump's golf courses, every public course for sure. But Donald Trump's would be fun too, because it would be such a direct shot. But I always thought that would be a fun thing, just take a whole bunch of homeless folks and hippies, go down there, get the food, not bombs people to come in and feed everybody. It'd be a kick.
All right.
Well, that's what Carlin always used to say. We could house everyone on all the golf courses, but we don't even need to now because there's 27 empty houses for every homeless person.
All right, let's Snork, and then Aeolus, then Bram. Sorry.
Okay. If we think of things on this permaculture and soil basis, we only have enough soil left for about 40 or 50, maybe 60 years.
There you go.
If we need to move beyond permaculture. We need to move beyond soil. There's plenty of room. Probably once we get off of the kick of we need soil to live, we could probably support 27 to 30 or 40 billion people. Water, we're about on the breakthrough of some major new technologies on water. The issue becomes our interpersonal issues. For instance, with the jobs in the economy, we have to be thinking about our biggest threat, which is climate change. And I am extremely for adding one more branch to our military, and that would be for global issues. Large number of hospitals that are mobile can be moved to any place on a given time. Facilities for people to live in, cook, and live, because we're going to see a lot more tornadoes now that obliterate counties. I mean, down to the nothing there but where the image of your floor was. I've already been in a more than one F5 tornado, and like the experiments you probably see me working on, I'm not a biologist, but I dabble with hydroponics, and I in a basement I can grow coffee, bananas, with 3 times the efficiency of anything grown outside in the sun, because I only use the frequencies of light that I need. So I can get enough frequency or enough out of each power light to power people living under it. Underneath, above the people, we can have a work layer. Above the work layer, we can have a food production layer. And we have enough space for everybody on the planet to move to Iowa.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
Aeolus.
Sorry, I'll go ahead.
Okay. Aeolus, go ahead.
Well, I think the other part of this, when we're talking about overpopulation, that there was actually a response to The Amazing Atheist that this conversation reminds me of by a libertarian socialist rant a couple of years back. And one of the things that he points out is that a lot of this discussion, I think Jamal touched on this, is that one of 2 things needs to occur. Either we need to start controlling the population with, honestly, with some pretty authoritarian.
Right. Yeah. Brutal authoritarian.
The alternative is that, and the more likely reality is that we're wasting way more resources than we actually need to.
Yes.
We are producing enough.
Yes, we are. You're so
right.
right.
On the planet. But the problem is that we live in an economic system.
Yes.
Preach. Overproduces to the detriment, to exorbitant waste. And now
it does for profit. It does for profit.
Yeah.
They want you to burn through for profit.
We could honestly have the resources to feed everybody for decades. We just stopped wasting every ear of corn that we decided looked a little green on a Tuesday, too green on a Tuesday.
All right.
That would bring up the question: either you are forced into one of 2 situations. Either you forsake the rights of others in order to maintain your own level of comfort, and to maintain your economic system, or you have to upend your system entirely to meet your needs. You can't have it both ways.
Okay.
Well, no, you can't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I'm with you, Aeolus.
Right, you can't. You have this because think about it. You have a world that's finite. We have the amount of resources and everything else on the planet. Just mathematically, it has to be finite. It's a finite planet. It's a circle. It doesn't go on infinitely. And to this, they say we're going to take resources that may or may not necessarily be reusable or rekindleable, But they're going to overlay an economic system that says you need to burn through those resources as fast as you possibly can in order to make profit. Meaning you're going to plan in obsolescence to your laptop, meaning that laptop is going to go bad sooner than a laptop should go bad. Not because it needs to, but because they need to keep their jobs. If their laptops last for 50 years, then they're going to lose their jobs. They have a financial interest in making those products in a way that go bad at a certain particular point. And this is our economic system. Like all of our products, we talk about cell phones, all these things require minerals, chemicals, and everything else. Goal of it, and the amazing part of this to me is it's a sub-reality. Like the planetary thing is an actual reality. That's a real thing. Your human needs are real things. The money system is not a real thing. Like it's contrived. It's not a real thing. And yet that real thing is controlling whether or not all of us lives. That's amazing. I find that to be the most amazing thing in the world.
Right. So let's go on to Bram and then Ariel and then I guess Broken Carpenter again. I kind of want to move on
just real quick. I sent DM'd you a link to an article about the radioactive Boy Scout.
Okay, I'll post it. All right.
I know what you're talking about, Broken.
Okay, Bram, go ahead.
Just real quick.
That's awesome.
When I was taking economics in Germany, there was another guy in the class from the U.S. and he was trying to defend capitalism, and our professor made that exact point that is by nature an extremely inefficient economic system.
Yeah, it is.
For us to continue to utilize it as we have just speeds up the process of wasting our resources unnecessarily.
Yes.
And I can't remember the exact formula he used, but he showed it how it was killing us. The very system that we've been using for generations now is the very thing that's killing us.
I got something to say now, actually.
Go for it. I'll go after you.
All right, I wanted to get something if I could. Can I go? Just go?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going in, man. Okay, so we kind of came full circle on that when we brought up water, because we were starting with physics, and then we got back to nuclear, and then soil, and then technology, which is right back where Zork. It always comes back to that. But when I keep looking at my culture, which is, I'm Hawaiian, by the way, 38%, 38.5. I look at their model and what happened over time from around 300 AD all the way to now, is that before the missionaries got there, they started to not overpopulate, but they got to the point where they started pushing and shoving for food, and they didn't really have, and then they started learning how to farm and fix all those things. But that little island is a good example of if you look at the history of it, it's a good example of kind of what we're going through. I just think Broken is it's all about water, it's all about soil, and when in regards to Fukushima, that it's just destroying. I went body surfing and boogie boarding this weekend, and I'm telling you, I made my kids shower off. I was like scared for them with all that junk on their bodies. But we're Ariel said this. We are definitely at a atomic pace destroying this planet and ourselves, and we really need people in power that understand that we can try to turn not just a little bit. We need to make a 180-degree turn. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I hear you, James. Just some facts to throw out, and here's why I believe that. Continuing population growth at the rate that we're going, it doesn't work, and the reason for that is because partly, 10,000 years ago, human beings only contributed about 1 to 2% of the biomass, with about 98% of the biomass being plants, animals, birds, insects, etc. 10,000 years later, it's completely flipped. We account for now about 98% of the biomass, and everything else only gets 1 to 2%. We have to get off of this idea that we're the only species that deserves life and integrity and, quality of living. We're sharing a planet with all these other amazing creatures, and we're treating them like commodities and
Yes.
not like neighbors, which they are. We currently, these numbers do fluctuate to a degree, but it's currently estimated that we're losing between 100 to 200 species of plant, insects, birds, and mammals every day. And that is 1,000 times the natural rate of extinction. I study birds. I love birds. I study with the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and I work with them a lot. A major contributing factor of loss of bird life is because of loss of habitat. And they're not losing that habitat because the deer moved in. They're losing that habitat because we're moving in. We're draining their water. We're taking over their area, and we do it everywhere. And sure, yes, you can go out to wild places and get away from it all a little bit. But there's a lot of places in the U.S. that nobody wants to live in. Just ask an Indian that's been pushed on a reservation. They gave them the shittiest land possible, full of rocks and, unfertile soil. And there's a lot of damn nasty places in this country that nobody would want to have to live. That's why people concentrate near water. They concentrate in different areas because there's something that's more desirable there. So yeah, it is an issue of how we grow, and another part of that, yes, is because we've gotten so far away from nature. The further we get away from nature, the worse things get for us. It's always the way it is. Like I said, everybody can't share a piece of the pie if there's too damn many people come to your party. It doesn't work. It's just somebody's going to be disappointed, and that's what we're going to end up with. A lot of people are going to be disappointed.
Okay, so. I wanted to end this discussion of what we're discussing and move on to anything goes. But the one thing I wanted to talk about as far as current events and media is if you guys didn't know that Justice Democrats last month endorsed Anthony Clark for Illinois 7th District. And in that same district is what was his name? I keep forgetting. It's like Danny K. What's his name?
Davis?
Danny K. Davis, yes. And there's no indications of Danny K. Davis leaving or not running again. He's basically pretty progressive. He's a social democrat. He's part of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's part of the Socialist Democrats for America and other stuff. So you can look him up on Wikipedia. I just did a video on him earlier today. So if Justice Democrats isn't primarying corporate Democrats and is primarying a progressive, do you think it's just a mistake on their part, or do they know something we don't, or are they just trying to co-opting corporatist Democrats and saying that they're progressives and running against
I don't know.
Progressive Democrats that they don't like?
That's a good. Oh yeah, I don't know. No one. That's a tough one.
They're nudging them out. They're nudging. They're gonna. Justice Democrats, and you showed in your video that you did today was great. Is that it's all corporatist baloney. The Justice Democrats and the new Congress people. What do they call it? The new Congress?
Brand new Congress.
Brand new Congress is crap. So if whoever the Justice Democrats pick and support and stand behind, you can just guarantee that as soon as they get into their position, if elected, they're just gonna, forget the people that got them there. Just the same way Obama did, the same way every other Democrat has.
We need local people and people paying attention, and then I guess some things time will tell.
See you, Jamal.
I think they're all right. I think the Justice Democrats might be all right. They might have some good.
All right. All right, see you tomorrow. He's heading out. He's
Bye,
gotta work.
Jamal.
Bye, tomorrow.
Thank you for
Amazing
coming.
job that you did on
I
context.
got to work in the morning. I'll see you guys again
All
soon.
right, see you, Bram.
Bye, Graham. See you later.
Bye, Bram.
Night. Good talking with all of you.
Nice talking with you too, Bram.
Always wonderful talking to you. You take care.
You too.
Hey, Snark. If we're checking out our gardens, I don't know how this is showing up.
What is that exactly?
It's a plastic leaf.
Yeah, it's greener than mine.
He's got
Smells better. Smells better too.
better for pain, I think.
Was that a hydroponic plant you had, Snork, there?
Okay,
This one, yes.
is everyone
It
done
is.
talking about the Justice Democrats and
Other
the
than that, I just wanted to just say that radioactive Boy Scout story is pretty cool because it's all about this kid that builds his own reactor.
Yeah, David Hahn.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Hey, Broken Carpenter. I know you like to go off on tangents, but can you do that in Anything Goes and then After Hours?
I just wanted to say, I think if we can forgive Bernie, and if you can find it yourself, being able to forgive him for just wanting to take his own approach to get things accomplished, I think you should be able to forgive potentially the Justice Democrats and those folks, because when I look at them, I still see them as having good points that they're behind at places, a lot of places, and they'll be better distinguishing themselves a bit further off to the left than the mainstream neo-liberal, whatever corporate liberals.
And one last thing, if you look at the brand new Congress site, you'll see a whole bunch of links right under saying Congress is broken. They have the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Wired, Huffington Post, the Daily Beast, Slate, The Nation, The Frisky, Salon, Bustle, Boing Boing, and Roll Call. And all of those are links to just articles about how brand new Congress is going to change things. That just seems like a corporate sponsored movement, in my opinion.
It's all Comcast and Time Warner. Yeah.
And my understanding of the Justice Democrats is they only ask one question, is what I've heard. Are you going to take corporate or PAC money? Or, you know what I mean? And that was like the biggest deal. And otherwise and support an amendment.
That's a pretty big deal.
Right? Isn't that right? Oh, it's a huge deal, but I mean, it's not really focused on getting more progressive politics in the long run. Yeah, we could be able to build more progressive politics, but I think you have to have a little bit wider range of questions. But maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't pay enough attention actually to TYT and all that. I'm just starting to be a little bit open-minded in terms of trying to find the common ground. I do see some common grounds, major common ground.
See, that's what I'm worried about when it comes to like polishing Swearingen. Now I know like she's for real because she's been fighting here for ages, trying to get mountaintop removal taken out and internet and fighting for our water and stuff. But and she goes more with brand new Congress, but still like she's got that Justice Democrats name attached to her, and I feel like that might hurt her more than it's going to help her.
Yeah, good point. I like that.
Okay, everyone on chat, stay tuned. I'm switching the streams so we come up as for Anything Goes. Everyone here in Ring Central, just go ahead and just stay around, stick around. All right, I'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a bit.